Hey, welcome to Design Your CEO Life. I'm your host, Shay Cannon. I've designed my CEO life to live and work my business from anywhere in the world. I started this journey in Belize, lived in Mexico for 3 years, went to Buenos Aires, Argentina for a year and a half before coming back to my favorite little beach town of Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I am truly living my best life just 3 blocks from the Caribbean Sea. Thank you for joining me as I share conversation, stories, and strategies to help you design your CEO life. I love it that we're in welcome to season 2. Season 2, can you believe we're in the second season? Now, we know each other a little better now, but if you're new here, check out season 1. It just might bless you, and we'll definitely get to know each other better from season 1. I'd love to hear from you. Do you like the show? What about the show had an impact on you? What was something that might have been a little too close for comfort? You know, I step on toes every now and then, but it's only to help you see that you can definitely have what you want. But I'm @ Shay Cannon COO everywhere. I'm on almost every social platform as @Shay Cannon COO. So tag me, drop me a line, tell me what you like about the show. Tell me what you don't like about the show. Tell me whether or not you've learned anything and how it's had an impact on you. All right. Well, this is episode 1, the power of the pivot, knowing when it's time to change. Let's get into it. This is going to be a good one, okay? It all starts with action. Ever heard of the phrase, practice makes perfect? Yeah, practice makes perfect. We used to hear it all the time as kids. I don't know about you, but I did. If you ever played a sport, you definitely heard it. That's why you had practice. That was the problem with Allen Iverson. Remember when he got fined and he got to not play a game because he didn't show up to practice, and he was like, practice? We talking about practice? But practice is important. Practice makes perfect means you continue to take an action over and over and over. And did I say over again until you get good at it? The actual action that you're taking of doing it over and over again is what makes you good. So I have a question for you. Can you pinpoint when it became a thing to actually only debut an action after it's become perfect? I mean, there's this trend now of don't do anything unless you can do it well. Well, this is a huge problem that is plaguing entrepreneurship. Okay. And you know, if you were for season 1, you know that this is about the time that I take off my glasses to make sure that you can see me and hear me and take this in, right? Let me tell you about entrepreneurship. It is literally trial and error. Okay. You are supposed to get out there into the world a minimal viable value with some transformation and get feedback so that you can apply that feedback and make it better and put it back out there. Let me tell you, you see this concept all the time. What are we on, like iPhone a million? The iPhone, the first iPhone, the second iPhone, the fourth iPhone, and we're on, I don't know what, iPhone 20. These are iterations of a product that was supposed to get better and better. So whether iPhone listened to your complaints, whether iPhone took technical issues that happened, whether iPhone took some features from Samsung and made it like it's new. Whatever they did, each iteration has something new with the objective of pleasing the customer, of the product being better. So your job as a CEO is to free yourself from perfectionism. Okay. And we do that by what they have been calling failing forward. Okay. So not just failing, because failure isn't even what you think it is. Failure is fuel if you let it be. Okay. So just because something didn't go the way that you wanted it to go doesn't mean you have to stay stuck there. That's when it's a failure. Okay. But when you use that information to make it better, it's not a failure, it's fuel. Okay. Only a failure if you stop right there and get stuck. Otherwise, it's fuel for you to do better. So let's go back to that failing forward. What that looks like in your business is you launch something, you gather data about that thing that you launched, you apply the feedback to make it better, and then you relaunch it better. Okay, you relaunch. That's your job. That's all you have to do. Your job is not to create something that's perfect and put it out there and it's just going to be a winner out the gate. Simply not how things work. Okay. And I want us to shift our mind in thinking that that's the way it's supposed to be. In fact, not just failing forward, but there's another saying: fail and fail fast. That's another saying, right? Fail and fail fast. You want to know why? Because the faster you fail and the more you fail, the more data you get, the more things you can apply to it to make it better. So again, 86, that notion, remove from your thinking failure. It is only failure if you stay at the point where there's something negative happening and you never use that negative thing to make it better. We need failures. We need them. So the more you do, the more data that you get, the better your doing becomes when you apply the data. Think about babies, okay? Think about babies. Sometimes it's a little too close for comfort when we think about ourselves and doing things and how we do them. So think about babies. If a baby got up to walk and they fell down and they never got back up to walk again, that's failure, right? So if we try it, it doesn't work, and we don't try again, that's failure. But even babies know, I'm going to get up, I'm going to try to take a step, I'm going to fall. But the goal is to walk. So what do? They get back up again, and they learn stuff. They learn, I don't need to get up too fast. They learn, I need to wait till I get my balance before I take a step. They might even learn when I hold on to something that makes it easier for me to walk. Take the information and make it better, okay? So it's not that we don't fail. It's that we fail with the goal of doing better the next time in the next iteration. That's the goal, okay? So one thing we know is that change is always going to happen. Change is the one thing you can definitely depend on. And I don't know if I got it from a gospel song. I don't know where I got it from, but in my head, when I think of change, I always think a change gonna come. Where did I get that from? Y'all tell me. At me on social media and tell me, where did I get a change gonna come from? Was that a gospel song? I don't know. But a change is gonna come, okay? Whether it's in business or life, change is inevitable. It's going to happen. However, hurt or pain is usually experienced when we try to fight the need for change. Change is gonna happen. You can try to fight change, but it's still going to happen. And what you'll find is the more you try to fight change, the more it impacts you negatively. But that does not have to be a bad thing, because that negative impact should be a trigger for you to pivot. Okay? So a huge clue that it's time to pivot is when something that worked doesn't work anymore. Whether it's in your business where your business used to be profitable and now it's not, guess what? Time to pivot. Whether it's in life where you used to be happy and now you're not, guess what? Time to pivot. Okay. When you don't pivot, when you're supposed to, when the opportunity of change comes and you don't pivot, it can result in things like stagnation. It can result in things like feeling stuck, being overwhelmed, even being depressed. Negative impacts are huge signals is what I mean. They are huge signals for you to change. So again, your job as a CEO is to have vision. Vision, okay? You hire talent to help create a plan and take steps to execute to achieve your vision. But there's something about vision I need you to know, and that is be married to the vision, right? Be stuck on the vision. Be non-changing, be insistent on your vision, not the path to your vision. Okay? What do I mean by that? What I mean is you can have a goal and you keep that goal. As failures start to happen or you get in information that things are not working, it doesn't mean you give up the goal. It means you give up that path you were on to achieve that goal and we find another path. See, that's the power in the pivot. Let me give you some examples because I know I might have went off the cuff there. But there are many goals that have different paths to them. Okay? Let's start with some simple stuff. How you bake a cake may not be how someone else bakes a cake, but you both end up with a cake. What do I mean? I don't mean you're using, well, you could use different ingredients. But what I'm saying is some people love to mix in all the dry ingredients and then add the wet ingredients. Some do a dry or wet and mix it up. Some of you might hand mix stuff. Other people use an electronic mixer, but you both end up with a cake. Okay? So if you try to use the electronic mixer and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that you don't bake the cake. It means that you may have to do it manually. So the path that you started with may have to change. Let me give you another simple example. Going to the store, okay? It could be two people leaving from the very same location to go to the same store, and you may take a different route. Okay? You may take a different route. One person may get on the freeway. One person may take the street. One person may use a GPS. One person may use directions that they heard, right? So you're using different things. You're going different ways, but you can end up in the same place. All right? Graduate. I know that you have graduated with people in high school. You've graduated people, some of you in college. And what you understand was there were people that had to study all the time to graduate. And then there were people that never seemed to study at all and still graduated. There were people who had the money to pay for their schooling outright. There were people who had to get loans and grants. There were people that were on a scholarship, but everybody graduated. So there are different ways to get there. Be married to the goal, not the path. There are different people that got the same job differently, okay? There are different people that started the same type of business differently. Even the way you do things like getting married can be done different. The path can be different. Do not change the goal, even if you have to change the path to the goal, okay? So, you need not needlessly suffer from negative effects because you are trying to take the path that is not working for you. You don't have to do that. So I want you to see negative effects again as data that's telling you, not that. Okay? And not that might be, don't do it that way. Don't go that way. Don't work with that person, okay? But the negative effect is simply don't do something. Something about what you're doing is not working. It's time to change. It's time to pivot. So what we do when we hear can you tell I'm having fun with the But when you hear it, now you regroup, okay? I want you to get in the habit of going boldly in a different direction, infused with the application of information that you've learned. Now, there are some obstacles to pivoting because a lot of you don't know how to let go. A lot of you are comfortable with doing what you're doing, even if it's not working. You don't know how to let go of what your version of doing is. You don't know how to let go of the thing that's not working. Now, I promise I will not sing the Frozen song, Let It Go, Let It. Did I sing? My bad. But we as humans really have a hard time of letting go sometimes. Let's talk about that. Maybe you are resisting change because you have a fear of the unknown, right? Because sometimes people stay with what's not working because at least they know that. That is the thing they know. That's the animal they're familiar with. They're not familiar with the unknown. They're scared of what might happen. So let me just deal with this that I know about because I'm used to it, even when it's not working. Sometimes you resist change and you fail to pivot because you're scared to lose control. So it might not be fear of the unknown. It may be more a loss of control. Because see, when you change and you pivot, you don't have control over what's going to happen next. You're doing something new. You're doing something different. I will go ahead and admit that I'm a bit of a control freak. I like the illusion of control because that's all it is. It's an illusion. What we know is we don't actually control anything. We are a piece of a puzzle. We're all connected and we all impact each other in ways that we ourselves can't control. So control is more of an illusion than anything else, but it shouldn't stop you from making the changes that you know you need to make. So one thing about fear and control is the more familiar you get with something, the less fear you have and the more control you may feel you have over it. So some of this change just needs you to learn more about this new direction you need to go in. Okay, get more information, get more familiar. Because I want you to have what they call a growth mindset. And that growth mindset is feel like it's an opportunity rather than a failure, right? Change is an opportunity. I said failure is fuel, but it's fuel. Fuel takes you somewhere. Fuel is what helps you to accelerate to go places, right? So opportunity. Explore uncertainty as a space of possibility rather than something to avoid. So again, your uncertainty, your fear, your loss of control. Let's just get educated on what the new directions could be. Okay? Let's talk about something else. Because there is theory and there is reality, okay? Theory is what you get when all you do is brainstorm and plan, right? You brainstorm and you plan. So you kind of have an idea of what's going on. And that's fine. Remember, I told you I want you to get educated. I want you to get more information, so I do want you to get that information and brainstorm and plan. But a lot of people stop right there. And you can't stop right there. That's just the beginning. So theory is what you think will happen. And you don't know and you don't have reality because you never took action. So reality is what you get when you actually take action. Now, a big key to having the reality that you want, which is what this show is all about, designing your CEO life, right? So we are trying to design the life that we want. But the key to having that reality is by developing your sense of direction. Okay. I'll even call it intuition. Some of you won't change and take the needed pivot because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself to make the right decision. You don't trust yourself to switch directions and be successful. Well, let me tell you something about trust. Trust is built over time based on a history of dependability. Think about anything in life that you trust. Anything in life that you trust is because it showed up consistently, right? The man in your life, you trust him because he was dependable over and over again. Your friends, right? Your close friends, you trust them because they showed up for you over and over again, right? Even your kids, right? You have kids that you can trust to do this, kids that you can trust to do that. Well, you trust this kid to do this because they did this over and over again consistently. You trust this kid to do that because they did it over and over again consistently. Trust is about consistency of action. So even to trust yourself, to trust your gut, you have to be consistent in using your gut, in using your intuition, in using your own sense of direction. So you want to get good at making decisions, make decisions over and over again. Okay. You want to get good at trusting your gut. Give yourself the opportunity to trust your gut over and over again by making decisions based on your gut. So you don't have to make the right decision every time. You're human. You're not going to make the right decision every time. You need only keep the information from your journey of decisions to use it to inform your future decisions. And that's what's going to make them better and better over time. And then guess what you can do? You can trust it because now it's better and better consistently. All right. So the way that you think matters. What you think about matters. The way that you think matters. I know you've heard people say things like you are what you think or who you think you are. I've heard a saying something like, whether you think positively or negatively of yourself, you're right. Okay. One of my gurus is Dr. Wayne Dyer. His last name is Dyer. He's no longer with us, but he was great at intuition and thought. Okay. I was exposed to him a long time ago. Now my newer version of him is Dr. Joe Dispenza, who talks about the placebo effect. Basically, what you believe is what colors your reality, right? But going back to Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of the things that he said was, if you believe something, that becomes your reality. So he moved to Hawaii. He ran into some people and they were like, how do you like living here? What is it like to live here? And he said, well, what was it like to live where you were? And they said, oh, it was awful. And they started listing all these things. He said, oh, it'll pretty much be just like that here. Right. Then he ran into somebody else and they asked him, hey, I didn't know you lived here. How is it to live here? We're thinking about moving here. And Dr. Wayne Dyer asked them the same question. Well, how was it where you lived before? And they were like, oh, it was great. You know, we had great neighbors, this, that, and other. He said, oh, it'll pretty much be the same way here. How you think matters. So this is your homework. I want you to think about how different are you from the person who is living the life you want to live? How different are you from the person who has the type of business you want to have? Because the key to closing the gap between where you are and where they are that you want to be is change. You don't get something different until you start doing things differently. Let me give you some tools, okay? You can journal and you can do self-reflection. Because if you start self-reflecting and journaling that reflection, you can analyze when and why things started to feel stagnant, stuck, started to hurt, started to cause pain, because that is your signal for change. You can start mind mapping, because I told you we can brainstorm and we can plan. We just can't stop there. So start mind mapping to clarify some of your situations and the different ways that you can change your direction. Okay. You can even do a SWOT analysis that, you analyze life and business with a SWOT analysis, or just do the simple pros and cons list. Okay. To help you to evaluate which direction to go. What about the power of mentorship? Discuss with the people who have what you want, how they got there, the best ways to get there, what worked for them, what were some of the obstacles that they had, so you can kind of compare them and get this extra information. But also surround yourself with people who want the same things that you want. That can help your drive. When somebody wants what you want and your drive starts to dwindle, but their drive keeps going, their drive keeping going can fuel your drive to keep going. So watch who you surround yourself with, because if you surround yourself with people who look at things as failure and get stuck, you're more likely to look at things as failure and get stuck. Okay? I want you to start setting small goals, to have manageable steps to get to where you want to go. I want you to start celebrating the small wins. I want you to start tracking your progress, because your only competition is yourself, right? Your competition is not that person that has what you want. Your competition is where you are today versus where you'll be tomorrow on the way to achieving your goal. I got another tip for you. This is a hack that I use. So if you're like me, this may work for you. Gamify that thing. Okay, gamify it. I am competitive. Okay, I like to gamify stuff. I'm the type of person that if I'm driving and the GPS say I'll get there in 15 minutes, I'm gonna try to get there in 10. Okay, if I'm the type of person, if you're the type of person that you say, hey, that person's smart and they got what I want, I'm smart, that means I can get what I want. So gamify it. Decide what the milestones are and give yourself some kind of prize at each of those milestones. The power of pivoting is in how you align your business with your personal values. Your personal values should be represented by your vision. Your vision-based decisions can lead you to long-term fulfillment and success in business and in life. You can't design your business or your life without vision, without the steps it takes that bring you closer to your vision or take you further from it. All right. So yes, I am a CEO, but I provide award-winning chief operating officer services to an exclusive clientele of 7- and 6-figure businesses. I've been featured by Time Magazine, Delta Airlines, Thrive Global, and more. I help solopreneurs, that's entrepreneurs without a team and entrepreneurs with a small team, to stop spinning their wheels and struggling to get to their first 6 figures in business. If that's you, I'd like to invite you to my free group. We build community, we create collaborations, and we have conversations to provide you with transformational business growth. Go to shaycannon.info/group and join us today. It's a free business mastermind giving you value above and beyond some of the paid masterminds. So yes, you need to join us. Well, that's all for this episode. It's been a pleasure having you tune in. So, CEO, go design a life worth living. Bye for now.